Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining our session today. Today, myself, Mansoor, and Adam will be taking you through Dynamics Business Central demonstration. It's just a quick overview, just to tell you some of the features that are available, the look and feel. That's basically where we're going on this. We have limited time, so I'll try to cram as much as we can. If we can keep questions to the end, we have some question boxes, etc. You can post some questions there or just note them down, and then at the end of the session we can address the questions that you have. Thank you very much. So my name is Mansoor, as I said. I've got my colleague with me, Adam, as well. We are senior ERP consultants here at Enhance and dealing with Business Central. So what is Business Central? So Business Central in essence is a cloud-based all-in-one business management solution. It used to be part of the nav stack. The same code has now been transferred into the cloud-based version. We can do it on multiple platforms. You can have the cloud version, as we're going to be looking at. You can have a hybrid version, or you can have a full-blown on-premise, as we traditionally know, with servers, connections via web browser. Most web browsers work, like Microsoft Edge and Chrome and Firefox. You can have it as an app on tablets and various other devices, iOS, Android, and Windows. There is a very comprehensive list of modules which are available in Business Central, along with your normal standard ones that you'd expect from an ERP system, like general ledger, like purchase ledger, sales ledger, SOP, POP, inventory, fixed assets, bank reconciliation, cash management. All that lovely stuff is all there, along with other stuff as well. We can go down the routes of manufacturing, we can go down the routes of HR, etc. There's a lot of modules that we can utilize. Integrates with the Microsoft stack, with the Office 365, Power Platforms, and like I said earlier, it's built on the Dynamics NAV. Those of you who are aware, Microsoft obviously have a few offerings of ERP. One of their offerings is Dynamics NAV. This is the code base what was used for Dynamics Business Central. So Business Central is in the cloud, Dynamics now has moved into Business Central. Just moving on. So this is just a bit of a visual to give you a bit of an idea of how the cloud stacks together. So here we have the Microsoft 365. Here's our Dynamics 365, if it's C&E or Business Central sitting in the middle. You have your Office products, which we're all familiar with, on the left-hand side. And on the right, these are all the Microsoft Power Platform. You have Azure, Power Apps, Power AI, Power Automate, Power. Some of you who may have been on some of the earlier sessions yesterday will have heard some of these terminologies. If you'd been on some of the sessions with my colleague Dan, he would have almost certainly gone through things like Power BI and some of the Power Automate, Power Apps that we have developed. So that's how it all stacks together in our cloud environment. And then we've got, like, it's software as a service. But before we go on to that, what I will do is I will end this slideshow for a second, and I will present my desktop to give you a bit of a demonstration now of Business Central. So what I'm logged in to our Business Central sandbox. We have a bit of a sandbox going on. So we have a few companies in here, but I'm going to be concentrating on what we call the default demo company, which comes with Business Central. It's called Kronos UK. Look and feel. So as you can see, I'm using standard browser. I'm using, I think I'm on Edge at the moment, Microsoft Edge. This is how we go. You go out to your web browser. It's linked to your Active Directory account. I'm logged in as our solutions architect at the moment, who's James Glover. Once you log in, you would have had your securities all set up for all the different users, what they can see, as you would do in your current ERP systems. This person is an accountant, this person is sales ledger, purchase ledger, this person is system administrator, so on. So we have all of that fun, rich features for users. So if we look at this web page, when you first log in to Business Central, this is where your landing page, this is what we refer to as your home page. So here, there's a lot of information going on here. So it can be a bit daunting. You think, okay, don't know what's going on, but it's quite intuitive. So here is the company that I'm logged into. Across the top, we have some menu structures. I'm sure these are pretty familiar, like, your finance menu, cash, management, sales, purchasing. Depending on which modules you utilize, you can add other menu structures here. There's some quick links here, if you want to quickly access customers, vendors, items, bank accounts, chart of accounts. So, you could quickly just pop out from here. Here's a list of all your chart of accounts. And when you want to go back, you could either use the back arrows or etc., or just click on the Chronos. Here it's giving you a bit of information. You have, again, more quick actions. Quickly enter a purchase order, purchase invoice, payments. You've got a variety of Excel reports that we can export out, and we have standard reports, which I'm sure these terminologies are familiar with, your balance sheet, income statements. Going further down, sales this month, it tells you, and each of these items, these KPIs that it's showing you, you can click on them and you can go in to see what it's made up of. So sales this month, you can just quickly click on here. What is that 1237 made up of? It's just that one invoice. Okay, not a problem. You can go into your overdue sales invoices and have a look, and it'll give you a list. It tells you what is there. You can see what your documents are, then you can do various processes up here. So depending on which document you've got selected. So it's really, really user friendly here on how you can float around. Going further down, it's got further KPIs, ongoing sales, and then you can pop into any of these, just like I clicked up here. You can show your ongoing invoices. You can click here, see which ones are, purchase orders, etc. Coming down, we have user tasks. We have email statuses, approvals. We'll talk a little bit about approvals in a second. We have a workflow that we can use in Business Central. Coming further down, you have some self-service items. Then you've got insights where you've got various little graphics that we can toggle through, so we can look at various charts that might be available to us. We could set up some favorite accounts on our homepage as well. This was really useful for one of our clients who had a number of like intercompany accounts, and at a glance, they always wanted to see what the intercompany balance is for. So I'm just giving you an idea of the things that you can do here. We've just set it up to cash accounts. So just as a quick little start off at 10, you can quickly have a little snapshot of what's going on with your favorite accounts. You can customize these, you can manage your list, add whichever accounts that you want. This is all additional to what you can do via looking at, various reports and inquiries within Business Central as well. This is on your homepage. So we're coming down, you might have seen, some of you, some sessions yesterday with my colleague Dan Booth with Power BI reports, etc. Once these reports are developed, there is a little widget here where we can embed these reports within our homepage of Business Central. Again, at a snapshot on the left-hand side, we've got things like trial balance. So you can toggle between which reports it is that you want to see as a snapshot. So the idea here is that at a quick glance, you have a quick access to a variety of areas of the system. You don't need to start hunting around in the various windows. The users that we have at the moment, Business Central, found this really, really useful. So navigation. So like I mentioned, we've got this navigation up the top. So, when we go finance, and then these are the different areas that you have. You got general ledger journals, you want to go chart of accounts, etc. And same on the cash management. Are we doing cash flow forecasts? Are we looking at our bank accounts, or are we doing a bank account reconciliation? And I'm sure you've all seen these terminologies before. Now, along with this, what we have up here on the blue bar is a lookup glass. Now, when you're looking for various items in Business Central, you can start typing what you're looking for. So, for example, I could start typing in chart of accounts, and then what it does is it starts displaying, okay, you've typed the word chart. Are you looking for generic, etc.? You can do show all. So these are the pages, and this is any reports which have the word chart in there. You could do things like, I don't know, purchase, and then a load of other menus pop up. It's not bad on spelling mistakes as well, to be fair. Sometimes when you put a spelling mistake in, it kind of recognizes what you're doing, and it's still displaying what you have. Now, some users, we've had mixed reviews. Some traditional users, they like to use a menu structure where we have these kind of menus. Other users say, no, this is absolutely excellent, because then I can search for whatever I want. That's fine, we can cater for both. Up here is a little icon, and if I click on this icon, this gives it to us in like a menu structure view. So the homepage disappears, and you've just got a list of all the different areas that your user has security rights to. Along the top, skip this, you have a settings option. So here again, this is where we can toggle between our companies. If I go to my settings, so here's my company, I can toggle between my companies that I have. I can change my role. Now, we're not going to get into too much depth on this session here, but what you can do is you can create a variety of roles within Business Central, and then you can attribute them to your user profile, and they basically can change the whole look and feel of what your homepage looks like, what your menu structures are. So you can configure them to how each user would like. If you've set yourself to business manager, doesn't necessarily mean everybody else has to. Another person could just set to accountant. So if I went to accountant for argument's sake, and then we refresh our page, you'll see that the menu structure will look ever so slightly different. So now along the top, you'll see, because I've said accountant, now it's more general ledger shortcuts that I have at the top. So the purchase ledger is gone. It's just more conducive to the accountant. These are the regular areas that they would want to go to. So we can come back in here, go to my settings, and you can change it back to business manager. Again, you have your region settings, you have your language settings, time zones, and all that jazz, which is excellent. Along with the menu structure in this little cog in the top right hand corner, what we have is an area called personalize. Now what personalize allows you to do, you can start personalizing the windows that you are in. So you can see that now it's red focus of this red square. So this is the area that's in focus. If I was to click on this, I can potentially go and click fields, and then depending on what is available on which widget or which window you're on, there'll be a list of fields which you can potentially add on. So you're customizing your own window. When you're done, you can click done, and there is, so for just to give you a bit of a flavor, if I go to like general journals and I just click on journal, now if I come in and do personalize, it will be personalizing just for this window. So you can see the focus, again, those red lines. I can click on field and it'll say, okay, this is what the window is displaying by default. However, without creating too much noise on the window, they've hidden some of the fields. But depending on what your business requirement is, you can add any of those back in again. And it's not saying that while these fields are here on the right hand side, you can't use them. It's just they're not immediately displayed on the front window. You can still get to all of these fields by using the various menu structures along the top, depending on what they are. So if you wanted like the quantity in there, or you wanted the VAT amount or something, you just literally drag over to where you want. Now with these personalizations, what you can do is it's either down to an individual. You can personalize your own windows and configure them to how best fits you. You can also make a personalization and apply it on a group setting so that you have a number of users who belong to a group called Purchase Ledger, and they all are seeing the same modified window or personalized windows. So you can do things like that as well. And you don't necessarily just need to have to add fields. We've had some clients who have said, oh, I have to scroll right across over to the right hand side and I use these fields here. Is there a way that I can move them along? And yes, you can. If you personalize, you can literally just drag the columns over to where you want and have it accordingly. So we've got the roles. We've looked at some of the general look and feels. I know it is a whistle-top store, and I will urge any of you that if you want to explore this further, then please do get in touch with us. We'll only be more than happy to dive into it at more depth. And if you have any specific queries and can it do this, and this is a scenario that we have, we can certainly look at those. But as a quick overview demo, you're seeing the look and feel, just to give you a bit more of a flavor. So when we're going into, like, I don't know, when we're entering a purchase invoice, so here it will list all your purchase invoices. I can click on new from here. I can go in and start creating a purchase invoice, and you fill in all your figures. Again, this is a simplified view. I can do this show more here. It gives me more fields. I can do less and put my lines in, do what I want. Over here on the right hand side, this little box of information is called a fact. box. Now this pops up on a variety of windows. It just gives you additional information to whatever task you are doing. So for example, I'm looking at a purchase invoice. At the moment, it's got no statistics in there whatsoever. So if I was to just select a vendor, there'll be any details for this one. So all of a sudden, by me selecting that vendor, it's giving me a quick snapshot of information on that vendor. So it's saying, okay, that's the vendor number, balance, da-da-da. And again, I can click on any of these and it will drill into what these figures are made up of. So it's really, really useful that as you're entering a document or something and you want to have just a quick look and say, I wonder what their balance is and I wonder what this figure is. You can have a quick snapshot. When you're done with it, you just click over here and you can make the fact box disappear, and you can click on the fact box and it pops back again. This fact box is available, like I said, in a variety of areas. So for example, if I go to vendors, I can select a vendor, select a different one, and again, the fact box pops up. And if there were any attachments against this fact box, it will show them here. Otherwise, it's details, so you can toggle between the two. Attachments, I'm sure you guys are familiar. You can put attachments on there. Like if it's on the customer side, you might have some terms of agreement, some SLA details or something. You might want to put them on an attachment, send them out to clients, or just have it there. When you're doing various other documents, if you're sending a purchase order or a purchase invoice and you had received some sort of quotation or some documentation, you can attach that to the records as well. So there is a really feature-rich attachment facility within Business Central. One of the key features of Business Central, I'm going to do a bit more of a deeper dive now. So I'm going to start looking at your chart of accounts, because generally as accountants, that's always one fun place that we always like to start. So chart of accounts. So the people on this call, if you are familiar with, obviously you must be, I'm presuming, with Dynamics GP or any other ERP system where you have your chart of accounts. In Dynamics GP, we have what we call segments. So you have segment 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You know, segment 1 could be your cost center, segment 2 could be your nominal, 3 could be your department, 4 could be a location, etc. And that's how we make up the string of chart of account in Dynamics GP. However, in Business Central, to give you the comparison, it has one segment for your chart of accounts. So this is my account code. If I was to click on it, it's just one segment, one number. You tell it what the name is it income or balance sheet, what your categories are, and then you set up the relevant details accordingly. Now, one of the beauties of Business Central, in my opinion, I found this really good, was the ability of dimensions. That's where you take your chart of account to a whole new level. So dimensions. Remember I was talking about those segments earlier on? All your segments are dimensions now. So you can create an invoice or any record for an account code and then select your dimensions as you are going along. So you don't need to have an account code which says 200, like this one here, cost of labor 220, so 2200, and then have a value for your cost center, which is ABC, and then have a different one. You don't need to have individual account codes with all the different combinations. You just have one account code, and then as you're using the various GL account codes, you select what the values of the dimensions are. Here's just an example of some of the dimensions. So we've got area, customer group, department. It could be things like cost center, location, project. Some of our clients who are with us, who are in the not-for-profit sector, things like funds, restricted funds, unrestricted funds. You could have various fund projects and all listed in there. Then you would use your Power BI reports and any other reporting devices that you have. And that's where you really slice and dice and bring the power of dimensions out. So if I was to use this, just to give you a flavor again, so if I come to monthly, just as an argument, I've got a line in here, advertising expense. We have some posting groups, that's fine. I've got a value in there, but then I've got my dimension at the end. So again, my dimensions are at the end. I've got department and customer group. These are what we call global dimensions, so they're appearing by default. This is the kind of thing I was mentioning earlier when people personalize. We've had people say, okay, you don't want them right at the end. I want to drag them right over to the left and have them right next to my GL account code so I can enter them at the same time. Yeah, you can do that. When I'm in department now, this is a list of my dimensions under my department code. So I can say, right, this one transaction is for prod and the customer group that it belongs to is medium. So you can see now I've got a combination of my GL account code on the other side, which is 4100, and it's linked to dimension prod and medium. So when you do your reporting, look at the account code, look at your different department, your dimensions, and you can do your slicing and dicing. What you can also do is take things to other levels. You can default dimensions at a variety of places. You can look at your chart of account. You can go to an account code. Again, I'm just selecting one at random. Or I can look at account and go to dimensions, and I can say, right, okay, whenever this account code is used, which is 10500, the user must select one of these dimensions. They must have a value in there. You can either hard code the value in there, say no, every time this account is used, it's always going to be to medium, or I can do something like this and say, right, the code is mandatory. So now what that will do is every single time somebody uses this account code, which is 10500, they have to enter a customer group dimension value. So you can do lots of little things like that with the dimensions. You could, if you really wanted to, make the dimensions global in terms of mandatory. So we could do a process where we say, right, okay, every single GL account code has to have a dimension for cost center or has to have a dimension for so and so. So it's really, really good with the mandatory and the default settings that you can do. You could also take that to the other level. You know, when you go to vendors, for example, I could set default dimensions against vendors as well at the same time. I could say, okay, each time this vendor is used, these particular dimensions are always going to be mandatory. So we've looked at the fact boxes as well, which is a really, really good bit of information that we can have. We've also got these links in Business Central where, as we mentioned earlier, Adam, my colleague, will look into it a bit more as well, with the emails and looking at other areas of the Microsoft stack and how it links in. So I'm just going to switch to this company over here. Yeah, it's in Dodo 55. I've got a vendor which I have set up, and I've got my email address set up on them. So what you've also got is this link in Outlook. So if I switch to my Outlook at the bottom here, so this is an email that, just to prove the point, I sent to myself from my account, but in Business Central, my email address exists as a contact against the vendor. And when you link into your contact insights using your Outlook add-ins, you get this little box on the right-hand side, which is Business Central. So just by emails coming in from your customers and from your suppliers, you could literally click on the emails and Business Central will repopulate, and it'll say, all right, okay, I found this person in one of your contacts, and there we go. It's under my consulting company, MAV Consulting 52, that's the vendor number, and here's some quick little vendor statistics. And while you're actually in Outlook, you can actually look at all of these items, and it does a live link to Business Central, pops up the information and whatnot. So these are the kind of little features that you can really, really harness in Business Central and just take your whole ERP system to the next level. Coming back to Business Central. Like I mentioned earlier, so we just have a bit more of a deeper dive, just conscious of time of the purchase ordering. I'm just going to show you something. So again, people will ask, can you email? Yes, you can email from the system. You can email your remittances. You can email purchase orders. You can email your statements, etc. When you come in here, you've got these print send options. You can send it as an email. Comes in here. Do I want to send it as an email? Yes. Oh, no. Use the default settings. You could just print it out and various things. Click on that. Okay, off it goes. And that should be sending off an email. And it's printed it out as well. And here it is popped up. Open the file, just to have a look. Lovely purchase order. And that's what will be emailed out. So you have all these features within the modules. And the purchase orders, it works the same if you're looking from the sales order side of things. The windows are very similar. So, it's just the inverse of what you're doing on the purchase to the sales. See my fact box is popping up on the right hand side as we're going along. you can see the windows, look and feel for whether it's purchasing or sales is very, very similar. Obviously, I will say customer, the other one will say vendor, supplier, but generally it's looking at the same. Next, we will have our bank account. So again, a lot of questions get asked about the bank side of things. You know, yes, we have bank accounts here. Here's a snapshot of bank accounts. If I was to just go into one of our bank accounts, you can see all the relevant information that we put in, your sort code, your account number. We do have the ability to export a BACS file from Business Central as well. That is pretty much done by a add-on that Enhance have developed. So it's our Enhance EFT module. So I'm just really going to mention this in case somebody asks. Yes, we can have that module. It's a third-party module. We'll add it in. All of our current BC clients are using it, and we can produce a BACS file for pretty much most banking systems. And then you can produce different files for different banks if they're overseas or whichever, as long as we have the format. It's also got the ability to have an approval system within the bank details for your vendors. Now, this is one thing that we get asked a lot about, certainly as we know in the current environment, GDPR and security of bank details. So to promote that, the module also has an approval process. So you could set up user A is a submitter, user B is the approver. So I go in, create a new vendor, I put the bank details in. However, until my approver doesn't approve, I will not be able to send a payment to that particular vendor. Works the same if you was to change any details. If somebody goes in and, you know, Mr. Vendor says we have now moved bank, you go in, change the details, it will need approving again before you are able to send a payment. So we can have all of those features available. There is also an app by Microsoft within Business Central, which will allow you to be MTD compliant if anybody has any queries along the MTD compliant as well, compliancy as well. Another really, really powerful feature of Business Central is what we call workflows. And we was asked about this in previous years many times, and now Business Central has a really, really nice workflow feature. There's nothing in it at the moment. I'll show you what workflow is in a second. If I go to new, and I can create a workflow from a template. So a workflow will be a process that you define. Obviously, it will be from one of the lists down below, and then you can set approval processes for that process. So for example, if you create a vendor, you can set up a workflow that it has to go through an approval process. If you set up a customer, if you set up a GL account code, if you're posting an invoice, sales or purchase, if you're posting a batch, if you're posting a general ledger batch, pretty much most key elements you can set a workflow for. Within Business Central, out of the box, they give you some templates. So it gives you an idea of what you're doing and how to do it, and then you can tweak it further. So for example, if I was to come to a workflow for, let's just say, purchase invoice. And then when you come in here, it'll say, okay, this is my code, this is the category that it belongs to. And now we can start setting up our steps. So we say, okay, when this event occurs, and on this condition, do the following. And you can set up a load of steps. So you can say, okay, if the document is saved, then it goes here. If once the document is printed, then you could do this. When this happens, or when the user has approved it, then send a notification and send it to the user and to the creator. So we can do all of this kind of stuff. We can do a variety of filtering as well. So on the conditions where you say, okay, when this event happens, and then you can say, and where it's true on this condition, where the document equals this, or the status equals such and such. What do I mean by that? I mean, I've got one client who wanted approvals for a particular vendor every time a purchase order was raised for them. They were not interested in any other vendor, just this one particular vendor. So we set up a workflow and we set up a filter, and we said only where the vendor equals, for example, ABC Limited. And you can do things like that as well. And it's really, really, really powerful. when you have your workflows all set up, if I just go to the home page for a second, when you start getting notifications, obviously they'll be coming through via email, but then these boxes become available here, which says approval. So if you've got any approvals that you've sent or any approvals that you need to approve, they'll all be flashed up in here. You click on it, go in, approve it or reject it, etc. But the workflow in Business Central is a really, really nice feature that they've added. We've got clients who are using it in, like I said, in a variety of ways. I've got clients who are using it for batches, general ledger batches of a particular type. They want them to go through an approval process. Like I mentioned, the vendor side, even creating vendor records, creating customer records, it can be done. It's really, really good feature. Along with all of this, one of the key questions we get asked a lot is, what's the integration with Excel? The integration with Excel from Business Central is pretty good. So in a variety of windows that you'll go to, and I was going to show it to you in my other one, because in this version where it says Wave 2 Playground, you'll have to excuse me, it's in a sandbox environment. So some of the features they kind of switch off, but I'm just switching to our main Dodo company here, which is not a sandbox. So this is me just bringing up, showing you a general ledger journal. So these are the kind of questions that we get asked. So I'm trying to preempt them. So I've just put in one line just as an example. But what you can do here is either I can just open it in Excel. So that's just exporting this, nothing more, nothing less. All you've got it in is Excel. But equally, I can click on page and I can click on edit in Excel. And when you open it up in edit in Excel, it creates a live link to in Business Central. It is a predefined layout. Go across that here. Right, excuse me, it's time to log in again. No, Dodo. And there's my one line. Now, the reason why it's pushing it out is because the information's already there. But now what it's done is, this is the way I use it, is because I put one line in, it's already told me which fields that I need values in, because by default, this is a standard template which gets exported. And as you can see, there's a lot of fields. So it's covering almost every single base that you could have. But that doesn't mean you need to enter every value. As you can see, there's a lot of fields blank, but you can then follow the logic, add your additional lines as you're going along. When you're ready, you would just hit the publish button and it would publish it back into Excel, into Business Central, beg your pardon. Now this you can use in a variety of ways, he says. I could come to chart of accounts. When you're starting off very new, you may want to import your chart of accounts using the edit in Excel function. There it is, edit in Excel. When you're creating vendors, you may wish to create vendors. You might have a whole list of vendors rather than doing them individually. Page, edit in Excel. Same on the sales side. So the edit in Excel is really good feature, works really, really well, and a number of clients are using it. You also have a number of extensions that you can use. One of the beauties about Business Central is that there are app sources out there. It's like your iPhones and your Android phones, where you go to your app stores, Apple stores, where you can download all different apps that you have. Obviously, in the real world, you have some apps which are free. You'll have some apps which you have to pay for on a subscription. Same here. You'll have the same here. So if we go to extensions, just to give you a bit of a flavor, extension management. So these are the extensions which are currently installed within our application. You can go and search the store to add more. So, you know, by default, if this is the author of Microsoft, there's Jet. If anybody's familiar with Jet reports, they also have an app. These are our apps. Enhance, this is our Enhance EFT app. This is our purchase expense management. You have all these other little features. And then when you search on, here we go, here's the Making Tax Digital as well. You could have apps which people have developed themselves to extend the product as well. But again, you'd have to be careful having a look at them, because you'd have to deal with those vendors directly. You'd pay them a subscription or whichever to utilize the functionality that you may wish to use on their apps. We have some apps which talking to banks, but again, they're more for the American banks at the moment, not many UK banks, but as we say, things are fluid, they're moving, more and more banks are coming online. So that's also an idea that people look at. Which are the extensions that people looked at? I think there was one that I saw where somebody's downloaded an extension where it formats documents in a particular way. Again, a developer app somewhere has developed an app. So it's really, really good in how you can search for your apps, but you don't want to get carried away either and start just downloading a whole load of apps, etc. So I just wanted to have a look at the extension marketplace. And this is where the app source is. So you can see there's somebody's created there, data systems, you've got JetForce, you've got Continua, and you can literally, come on, find you scrolling down, still loading the page. This page isn't responding. Do apologize, seems to be a connection issue there. Just bear with me 1 second, just connecting it again. However, I was towards the end of the presentation itself, so I think what we can do is we can just move on to the slides and then we'll leave a bit of time for some questions. So again, Business Central, just to recap again, in your organization, it's a software as a service. You've got low ongoing cost, it's flexible, you can add on solutions, it's easy to use, it's got the Office 365 look and feel, and we've mentioned before that it's built on the nav stack and their technology that give you guys confidence and comfort out there. You know, over 140,000 customers already on nav, and it's that code base which is coming to Business Central. So there's a lot of knowledge on there, and it's a really, really mature product as well. I'll now lead on to questions. I'm not sure if my colleague Adam has had any questions pop through in any of the chat boxes, but if you've got any questions, I'd put some ideas down there. You know, if people have got any queries about Dynamics GP and any migrations, or if you've got queries about the reporting, EFT, these are the normal questions that we keep getting asked a lot of. And then if you want to answer the last question, will England ever win the World Cup? Who knows? So I open it up to the floor. If anybody has any questions, please.
There was one from Glyn with regards to personalizations and roles. The roles aren't really kind of security roles. They're more kind of user interface. How do I want the screen to look? Am I a sales order processor? So do I want more sales order processing tiles in the window for me? So as I say, whilst you have security settings that you can go in and turn those off so people can't personalize and they can't change that. It's really just kind of like changing the look and feel for that one user, and it won't give them access to a part of the system that they don't have security to. So just to alleviate that fear there, it's not a bypass to get around to other parts of the system.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, absolutely 100% correct.
That was the only question that we had.
I open to the floor. Has anybody got any questions? Please shout them out.
Okay, Amanda's come up with Dynamics GP migration to Business Central. There's a couple of options with regard to this. They have, as Mansoor was talking about when he was looking at product extensions, there is a migration tool that will effectively, depending on the version of Dynamics GP that you're on, it can take the core static data, chart of accounts, debtors, creditors, items, and it can export those. There's newer versions of Dynamics GP have an export function that allow you to export it in a certain format, which Business Central can just suck in. So it is quite, there is a migration tool that's quite robust and good that will bring all that information through. Alternatively, which I think Mansoor and I have kind of found with some of our customers that have migrated from GP, it's given them an opportunity to kind of maybe change things that they don't necessarily want to carry over from Dynamics GP.
Correct.
So you've got a couple of options with regards to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on, Adam. Again, mixed bag out there. We've had some clients who say, okay, we've got our old ERP system. we'll leave that shelved, and just for historical inquiries, etc. Going forward, you leave a lot of the noise behind. Over the years, many of you will have built up a lot of noise in your ERP systems as well. So it's a nice opportunity for fresh, clean starts. So therefore, some users say, okay, we'll park the old legacy system, it's for inquiries only, and we go forward, we've got new chart accounts, we've just got new vendors, they're cut down, we don't use these ones, etc., etc. So if you're doing it like that, then it will be a traditional migration, which will be myself and Adam, if we're on the road, we would say, right, here's a series of templates, Excel, fill it in with your vendors, your creditors, your chart of accounts, your dimensions, and all that stuff. And then we would configure your Business Central system and bring that data in, and not necessarily migrate absolutely everything from Dynamics GP. So you've got a nice, clean system in Business Central. I hope that answers the question. Any other questions? Anything from anybody, please?
Can you use Management Reporter? Sorry, Alice has just come up with can you use Management Reporter. It doesn't have a direct connection to Management Reporter. That was really written for Dynamics GP and AX. What it does have, obviously, is it's got its own internal reporting systems. It links well with Jet, and it also allows sort of Power BI. So you've got those kind of combinations. At this moment in time, I suppose the reason why with Management Reporter needs to be able to sort of create a data warehouse from a SQL database, which obviously, because this is a SQL software as a service, we don't have access to the SQL database to get that information out. And Microsoft haven't kind of updated Management Reporter to allow the web service that feeds the information from Business Central out to sort of connect to that. So potentially, if you had the on-premise version, there might be a connector that would allow that to happen. But at this moment in time, Management Reporter is really just for Dynamics GP.
Thank you, Adam. That was very informative. Anyone else?
Amanda Jackson, the MTD integration in no, it's free extension because so obviously a couple of years ago when MTD was put forward from HMRC, all of the accounting systems that were being used in the UK had to come up with a way of being able to put that one in. So whilst there are paid extensions that you would have, for instance, some of the banking services and some of the third-party companies that kind of want you to sort of use their apps, the Making Tax Digital is just one that you switch on. It's just there. It needs kind of enabling, and then it just needs your details that are government gateway
details. You log in, and yeah, all that jazz. Absolutely spot on. Anyone else? I mean, even if
kind of added a second one in there.
Oh, sorry, Adam. Beg your pardon.
Sorry, I suppose it was because to do with the management reporting, Microsoft obviously push Power BI as their kind of main reporting tool because it fits in with the Power Platform, as Mansoor showed earlier on, and it does talk to it very quickly, but it's not the only reporting option that you have.
What I'll add is, if anybody has any other question that pops into your mind afterwards, please feel free, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to address any query or question that you have after this session as well. It's not a speak now or forever hold your truth moment. So yeah, absolutely, please reach out to us and we can address anything. If you need to have a bit more of a deeper demonstration, some clients come back and say, okay, we have a particular process that we do, and will a new ERP system be able to do it either better, more streamlined, and those kind of questions? Absolutely, please reach out to us and we can certainly investigate, look at it, see if it's how it can fit into your organization and what benefits it can bring to you, and see where we go with that. So I think we're at the end of our session now, and I will like to thank everybody who's taken the time to join us today, myself and Adam, and we hope to see you again very soon. We've got a few more sessions on today. Hope to see some of our users here on those sessions, and even in the other sessions, if you find a question that's come to your mind from an earlier session, try asking. You never know, you might get an answer. But otherwise, please reach out to us afterwards and we can take any queries that you have.